Welcome to You Can Call Me Goddess, because you're so much more than a queen. My name is Manouk Vink. I am a trained intuitive energy healer specialized in transforming your body and your life. In this podcast, we are going to be diving into everything to unlock the goddess that you are within you. Think of it as the ultimate glow up from the inside out. It's time to unlock your power. It's time to unlock your magic. So sit back and enjoy the show. Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to another You Can Call Me Goddess podcast. And I am so excited to be diving into today's topic. It's so funny. I always intuit and kind of look and feel into what we need to talk about in the podcast every week. And today, as I was looking in, and I was actually looking in yesterday, like trying to get some information, like what should we dive into? What have I been, experiencing lately? And what would be good for everybody to have some information on today? And as I was channeling, the word relentless came to mind. And I was like, okay, so what do we do with this? Like sometimes it's so funny because as I speak, and that's the crazy thing about intuition, right? More information downloads as you start speaking, and I wouldn't have gotten it any other way than if I just started talking on this topic. And so I was like, okay, relentless. What can we do with relentlessness? So I was thinking about it, and I was looking into, your journey and going on this journey of opening up your intuitive gifts, but also going on this journey with this trust that you are going to unlock the life that is meant for you. And if you're listening to this podcast and you've been drawn to this podcast, then probably you are on this journey. You are here because you are opening up new levels of yourself. You are here to expand and tap into your creator power and be able to start accessing things that you never thought were possible. And with that comes relentlessness. It comes with a lot of relentlessness. It also comes with a lot of relentless, I don't want to say suffering. That's going to sound so bad, but that's what's coming to mind. It's not suffering. It's relentlessness with going through obstacles. It is part of the journey. And today I want to talk about the good things about relentlessness and the bad things about it, and how being relentless, because I identify with that descriptor. I don't know how you call that. I identify with that word, relentless. I am one of those people that, I don't know about you, but when I want something, I will not rest until I get it. Like, at least I identify with that. So today I'm going to explain to you in my own words, through my experience, with my experience also when it comes to intuition and training my intuition, and what I've learned along the way with being relentless, and how it is a good thing, but it can also shoot you in the foot. It can also cause you to keep doing something over and over and over again and not get the result that you desire, because that is why we need intuition. We want to bypass certain things that we wouldn't bypass if we didn't know how to intuitively connect, or got someone to look in intuitively what it is that you need to shift. And I'll explain to you why that happens as we go through this podcast. But having this understanding and starting to see why maybe you've been staying stuck, or things aren't moving or aren't shifting, or you feel like it's a lot harder. And especially with you connecting with your intuition, the world right now feels super restless. And even that can feel relentless, right? It can feel like this ongoing battle that just doesn't seem to end or stop. Like literally, it feels relentless. Now, the reason you are here right now, and what I mean by here is in this realm, on the planet right now, through these times. I've heard so many people already be like, why couldn't I have lived then and then? Why is life so hard right now? The reason you are here is because you're remarkable. It's because you are powerful. Your soul wouldn't have chosen this specific life, this specific time in history, because there's no time and space. It's already history. This specific moment and time to be here, if you weren't meant to be able to handle this, especially if you're listening to this podcast, because that is your light team guiding you to this information, your guides and your higher self. guiding you to this information to get you to realize that you are in this realm at this moment in time, listening to this podcast, and it isn't a coincidence. It is because you've been guided here. You're meant to be here. You're meant to have an impact in this world right now. And you are also meant to be able to overcome this relentless craziness when it comes to the world. You wouldn't be here if you couldn't handle it. So take that and do with it what you will, but it might give you a little more confidence with the fact that you are so much more powerful, so much more capable than you even think. And sometimes we need that reminder. Believe me, this past week, I needed that reminder several times. As you may know, I think I mentioned it in the last podcast or the one before. I have been coming off of my birth control. It's been 3 weeks now, almost 4 actually, and my hormones are balancing out. Now, I know the root cause of hormonal imbalances, but even with that, especially when you're going through a lot of transitions and things are changing and a lot is happening, it can be difficult to have a mastery over balancing every area of life. That takes years and years of mastery to fully lock down, but it's a great way for me to learn and to get to know all these things and balancing out each area. I'm constantly asking, okay, what is out of balance right now? Why am I feeling this way? What action can I take to balance this out? And with that being said, this is again, this common theme with relentlessness. To be able to get through this relentless time in the world, you need to be relentless. And we're going to dive into that a little bit. And I also want to let you know when this relentlessness is actually costing you more than it is benefiting you, because I've been there so many times. And this also has to do with my character traits. I can get very obsessive. I can really obsess over things. Like I said, when I want something, I go for it 1,000%. But the problem with that is sometimes I'm going for it in the complete wrong way than I should. And intuition has changed the game in my life forever. And when you start understanding how this works, it will hopefully change the game for you too. And you will start to understand why, even though you're doing all the things, you're taking all the actions, and even when you're told to do certain actions, you do them, but you're not seeing the change or the shift or the desired results. And that comes with so many of these things. And it comes with mastery, and it comes with having to keep going, even when it is super tough. Because the universe, your higher self, they are going to test you to see if you are made for this, if you're going to follow through, if you fully trust in yourself. And it's not even maybe them that's testing you. It's actually you testing yourself to see if you can overcome these belief systems that you've had. The reason some things feel difficult, the reason some things feel relentless is because you need to move through the obstacles. And this is where it can get a little tricky. To be the best at what you do, to be the best at who you are and what you can create of yourself, you need to believe that you are the best. And you need to constantly be implementing these things that you are wanting to give to other people, because to coach other people on the things that you are doing, you need to embody that and also see the results that come with it. Now, this is where it gets tough, because our ego is great at gatekeeping and trying to keep us safe and deflecting from what is really going on. So what I want to talk about today is that we often ask for something, right? We ask the universe for something. We ask the universe for, I would like to make X amount of money within the next 6 months or 3 months, whatever it is that you're thinking of. I've done this multiple times where you ask this, or even I do a healing on it. And then instead of getting the money, you get a whole bunch of obstacles and difficulties coming your way. Why that is because we forget that with the amount of money and with the amount of abundance and with the amount of the life change that you desire comes with you changing. You can't expect to stay in the same place and get everything coming to you. Because to be able to hold a certain amount of money, to be able to access the partner that you desire, to be able to have the body that you desire, you need to shift the things that you have in your life, because you need to build your life so that it can hold the things that you are asking for. A lot of us get surprised because we ask for these things. Like, believe me, in the past, I would so many times, those dandelion, like the fluffs, and they like the wish flowers, we call them like wish flowers in the Netherlands. I would pick them so many times when I was young and wish for something and blow the dandelion fluff and then pray that it would come. But obviously, like, not knowing anything back then, it was just me obviously knowing that there was intuition and that I could create things, but having no clue on how to do it. And we've all been there, right? We do things like this, and then we wonder, why is it not arriving? It's because to be able to get that thing to arrive, you need to take physical actions that are going to align you with that thing. Now, those physical actions that you take are not always the things that you think that they are. This is where intuition really becomes a game changer. So recently, I've been implementing this thing with my intuition where I ask with every single thing, because I want my financial abundance to grow more. I want my business to grow more. That is my main thing right now. That is what I focus on the most right now. So with every single, and I'm sure a lot of you are in the same spot. With every single decision that I make, I check whether or not that thing is going to increase my wealth or not. So intuitively, I look in, and even when I go and buy myself a drink, is this going to increase my wealth? Yes or no? And then you get more specific with the question that you ask. And that's where intuition becomes such a game changer, because here is what happens. Without you knowing it, you're taking actions every single day, and you think that these actions are moving you forward. But this is just you being stuck in a loop. And this is where the ego comes into play, because we take actions on a daily basis that we've been told we need to take. And we think that these actions are moving us forward, but in reality, they are probably holding us back. And that's because our ego, so when I look in on the majority of the people that I work with, we are not connected with who we are at our core, and that is not your fault. That is because you have been programmed from a very young age, to take certain actions, and we've been told that that is going to get us the results that we desire. So that could be waking up at 6 a.m., going to the gym first or after work, then working a 9-to-5 job, doing all of these things that we think are going to get us to grow and get more success, when in reality, this is just the programming that we've been told is going to move us forward. Same with certain belief systems, right? That money doesn't grow on trees. That was a big one for us. These types of belief systems have been holding you back. So we need to work hard to make money. So what we do is we keep taking these actions, thinking that is going to get us to the end game, thinking that it's going to get us closer to what we want. But in reality, they are literal programmed actions that are holding you back. And this is where intuition becomes a game changer. Because now when you look in intuitively and you ask, doing groceries right now is going to increase my physical cash flow or not, and you get a no, normally you would have gone and done that. But now that you can test whether it's going to increase or not, you can even get to the nitty gritty of, okay, but should I go somewhere else? Should I do it a later time and day? Is there a different shop that maybe I should go to? And this is where your intuition beats logic, because logically you would think, it's just quicker because I'm done at this location. I might as well go and pick up some things. But with the logic, you may have missed out on bumping into someone who could move you forward in whatever direction you want to move in. Maybe if it is the person that you're meant to meet to expand your business, or maybe it's someone who's going to introduce you to your husband or wife, right? Who you're meant to be meeting in this life. You would have maybe missed that opportunity, or you could have gotten that opportunity later in time. But you could speed up this process by using your intuition. And the intuitive hits that you get and the intuitive confirmations and questions that you get answered are very often not what you expect them to be. And this is where the intuitive brain really becomes a massive game changer. It has been so many times where I would be like, the other day, I needed to text my sister about something, and I wanted to text her because I was waiting on something from her. And I quickly intuitively checked in. Should I text her right now or not? And I got a no, wait for 2 hours. So I was like, okay, I'll wait for 2 hours. Within the hour, she texted me with the exact thing that I wanted to text her about. So this is how intuition blows my mind, even though I've trained it for so many years now, and I use it with everything. Every single time, I am shocked by how accurate it is and how much it changes things. And this is where, when you are relentless with the actions that you take, and I will be the first to admit that I am like this. I would literally, with every activity, because I don't know why I know why I'm like this, but I also don't know why I'm like this. I remember doing, I wanted to change things up because I've been into fitness for so many years, like more than probably 20 now at this stage. Okay, maybe not 20, 15 plus years in the fitness industry. Used to be a personal trainer, all that jazz, did bodybuilding competitions, all of this. And my OCD definitely was like into that stuff. So I was doing this over and over and over again. So I would keep training and training and training and training, thinking that it was getting me the results that I desired. When in reality, what it was doing to me, I was blowing up, I was gaining weight. I wasn't getting the results that I desired. Now, little caveat for those of you who are like, oh, but I'm training so much and why is this happening? So there is so much to this, right? There's so much to this because I had a lot of reflections when it came to the body. The body was communicating to me that I was, not listening to it, that I was beating myself up. So there was that. Without intuition, I would have never understood or figured that out. Without understanding how my body's communicating to me, I would have never understood that. That's why we coach on these things inside my programs, because it is such a key. Like, if you're dipping your toe into the intuitive world, understanding and translating your body is one of the most life-changing things that you will do, because it is literally a form of your body intuitively telling you things. But basically, that was a thing that I was doing, and I was relentless. I would keep training no matter what. Even if I saw literally that it wasn't getting me the results, there was like this belief system ingrained in me. If I don't train 5 times a week, I won't get the results that I desire. So I tried to switch it up after letting go of that, because my ego was holding on to this way, because it made me feel comfortable. It made me feel like I was doing everything that I could to get the results that I desired. But I wasn't doing everything that I could to get the results that I desired. I was doing the things that I believed that would get me the results that I desired, not the things that would actually get me the results that I desired. Do you see the difference there? So I was in this constant cycle of doing the same thing over and over and over again, but my body needed something different. And I didn't know that, because my ego was like, nope, this is what makes you feel safe. This is what makes you feel like you're making progress. So we're going to keep doing that until the cows come home. And I want to say the cows never came home. But anyways, basically, I just kept doing it. And it wasn't until I was in a situation where I didn't train, because I was so physically beat down and exhausted for not seeing the results, that I took a break. I went on a holiday, and when I took a break, my body started losing weight. So this was my body clearly communicating to me that what I was doing wasn't working. I wasn't listening to my body, because my body was trying to tell me something, and that I needed to look at a different avenue. Literally part of the reason I started this work in the first place, because I was so fed up with the lack of progress and not understanding. And then I started realizing, oh, there's so much more to this, right? My body's communicating. If only I could understand what it was saying. Now I do, and it makes a massive change with everything. Now, intuition obviously allows you to bypass all of this, because now I literally can intuitively check in what my body needs to get the results that I desire. That doesn't mean that, I want to go into another avenue here, because even with intuition, you want to make sure that you are bypassing your ego, because your ego might only ask that question to get the physical goals that you desire. You need to take these actions, but there is sometimes another avenue that you may have never thought of that is going to get you the thing that you desire. And it might not have anything to do with working out. The same thing goes when it comes to your, financial abundance or success in your business. This is why intuition is such a game changer, because you could be going to the gym 5 times a week. You could then be wondering, why am I not getting the results? Why am I not getting anything to shift? Well, first of all, maybe you're going to get an intuitive hit to look online and follow a totally different type of class, which could be like a meditative class. And there you get connected with someone who tells you about the energetics of body. And you would have never gotten to that step had you not tapped in intuitively to see what it is that you needed to get. Does that make sense? Or maybe you find a book, you are wanting to achieve the body of your goals. So you ask your higher self or your body, what do I need to take, or what step do I need to take to get that result? And you get guided to a bookstore. Now, working on your body, you would have never thought of going to a bookstore to get the results that you desire. But there it is, a book about translating the body that you would have never gotten or would have never stumbled upon if you hadn't asked intuitively what steps you needed to take to get the results that you desire. I hope you're following what I'm saying here. This is where being relentless in the things that you are doing and constantly doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting a different result is literally the definition of insanity, is where your relentlessness, and again, first one to raise my hand because I have been here multiple times, it's the relentlessness that can actually keep you stuck. It holds you back from accessing different avenues and looking at different ways to get the result that you desire. This is where you need to start looking at an expansive route, because maybe the things that you've been doing are not going to get you the result that you desire. No matter how many people have told you that that is the way to go, unless you connect with your true self, unless you connect intuitively or follow that gut feeling that you're feeling to go somewhere, you might just keep doing this rat race over and over and over again, stay stuck in this hamster wheel and not actually get the result that you desire. For that, we need to look at the world a little more expansively. There are so many things that you would have never realized you could get out of going to a grocery store an hour later because intuitively that's what you got. Or maybe you needed to buy something else because that is going to boost your energy at such a level that you would have never gotten that product had you not intuitively checked in, and you would have never been able to access the health benefits without intuitively checking in. And this is where we need to take a step back from the logical brain, the ego, and we need to be open to other avenues that we would have never ever expected would get us to the result that we desire. Now, taking it back to asking that question with increasing the physical, like your financial cash flow or wealth with certain steps that you take, it is when you start looking at the world like this and actually feeling into every action that you are taking as a step to increase your highest value that you start opening up so much more in your life. You're going to get so much more information on things that you would have never thought of, because we stay stuck in this cycle of doing the same pattern of actions every single day. And that's because we're creatures of comfort, right? We love to just do the same thing over and over and over again. So I would suggest, if you don't have intuition and you want to play around with this, you could literally look at your daily schedule or your weekly schedule and just swap out one thing or another thing and see how that impacts everything else. So recently as well, I have been swapping out the time that I work out, and it's been giving me so much more headspace to do things differently. Even though I'm spending the same amount of time in the gym, Me getting some work done before I go to work out has given me a lot of brain space where I can fully focus on my workout, so it's more beneficial, and I feel more productive because I've already done some work before going to the gym. If I go to the gym first, I don't feel like I'm fully present, and I feel like I'm rushing, and I feel like I have so many things to catch up on. So it's like little things where you can just play around with your schedule and see, just because you've been told or you're used to doing this thing, how you're doing it every single day might not be the most productive or most effective way of doing it. This could change everything, because when we are so stuck in doing the same things over and over and over again, we don't actually look at different avenues. And that's what will set you apart from everybody else, because everybody else is just going to stay stuck in this same loop, just doing the same thing over and over and over again, because we've been told that that is going to get you results. But if you can be that one person that decides to do one thing differently, and that 1% change can make a massive impact on the success that you are creating in every other area of your life, you are going to be the one that changes the game. And you're going to be the one that does something that nobody else would do, right? And that could even be something that's so illogical, like going to a supermarket that's an hour away instead of the one around the corner, because your intuition told you to do that. And now you've met someone, or you've come across a product, or something sparked your interest, and that has gotten you to move forward in what you want to do. And this is where, even when it comes to like financial decisions, right? And your intuition will tell you to, maybe you're like strapped for cash, and you're struggling to, make ends meet, but your intuition tells you to book a ticket to go on a trip. And not only that, book one of the more expensive hotels. And without intuition, your human self, and probably still does, is freaking the F out, because you're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to make ends meet? But now, because you booked that ticket, you went to that hotel, you connected with someone who is totally invested in everything that you do and is now a lifelong client of yours. If you had not listened to your intuition, if you had let the fear response of your human self kick in, you would have missed out on this massive gain in growth in your soul path, soul pull, in your business, in what you're trying to create. And why I'm telling you this is because I have been totally schooled on this with my intuition. My intuition has totally schooled me on this, because, of course, we all have these belief systems that we've collected along the way, and these ideas that we've collected along the way through experiences, through knowledge, through all of this stuff. And even me being a certified personal trainer and knowing logically what it is that someone needs to do to get the results that they desire in the gym, when I look in intuitively, sometimes it's something totally different. And I'm always like, wait, what? They need to do that exercise, but why? And I will give that exercise, because I do this for my clients. I have an offering where I intuitively analyze what your body needs to get the body that you desire. And we also go through this in the membership. And sometimes I'll get like the most random exercise, but for some reason that exercise is the one thing that is going to make them feel confident and stronger, and it's going to tackle their body in a way that I would have never thought of with my logical brain, with my logical human brain that knows everything about fitness. Well, at least maybe not everything, but knows all of the things about fitness, nutrition, and all of this stuff. But intuition says do this one thing, and then I'll get feedback saying that that was the perfect exercise and they got the best results as a result of that. Now, this is where intuition is just the most game-changing thing. This is where relentlessly doing things over and over and over again, thinking that you're working hard, you're doing everything that you think is going to move you forward, could actually keep you more stuck than you realize. And I mean, I have been the poster child of this. Literally the poster child, because I was literally beating a dead horse when it came to my workouts for years. For years, I would keep doing the same thing over and over again and hoping something would change. When I was just not listening to what my body actually needed. But because I had told myself that this was was going to get me results, and in the past it did, it had to work this time, that is where I was wrong, because I was missing pieces of the puzzle. Especially when you are meant to have a mastery over these things, you are going to find that something is going to work until it doesn't. And that's when you are going to want to look at the different avenues that you would have never thought of. This is so that you can expand your understanding, so that you can expand your view and your vision of what is possible. Our ego and our human self can get stuck on this. And that's why it's so valuable to be open to more than just the things that you know. To be open to a more expansive view of it. Because no logical person would think that the one thing that you need to do to go and get the body of your dreams is to go to a cafe or to go to a bookstore. That would not be the first thing that comes to mind. No person who wants to expand their business would think they need to go to the beach for a day or they need to book a trip to Hawaii. Like, that is not something that would come to mind with a logical brain. Intuition will give you something that you would have never expected. And that is what is going to bring about the biggest change. And it's those of you who decide to follow through with that and decide to trust your intuition fully that are going to be more successful. Because it's your intuition that is going to guide you in the direction that is going to align you with the path that is meant for you. And if you've been feeling like no matter what you do, you can't excel, you can't grow, you can't move forward, and things just feel stuck, it is most likely because you haven't expanded your vision into actions that you would have never thought of. Now, again, I identify as an action taker. I take actions all the time in order to get the results that I desire. I feel like I'm constantly doing the thing that I need to do to move forward. So imagine what it felt like for me when I was told that I still need to take more actions to get a certain amount of success, or when I wanted to open something up in my life. I wanted to flip tables. I wanted to freak out. Now, what do we know about triggers? Triggers are the sign that that is the thing that we need to lean into. So this is why this is so something that I know is so difficult, because even though I'm an action taker, even though I identify with being relentless and relentlessly doing the things that I need to do to get the result that I desire, without intuition, I would have never known that there are actions that I would have never thought of that are going to get me the result that I desire. Total actions that would have never crossed my logical human brain. So even though you're doing all the things, and now maybe you're even looking at the energetic component of it, you could still be missing an action that is going to move you forward because you haven't opened up your vision. You haven't expanded the options of actions that you can take to get the result that you desire. Now, this is where you do become relentless in a different way. And this is where relentlessness is necessary for you to access the amount of wealth, the amount of success, the dream life, the dream partner, the dream body. You need to be relentless with trusting your intuition. You need to be relentless with expanding your view and being open to different avenues to getting to the result that you desire. That also means that you want to have a mastery over understanding these things. This is where it gets hard, because even when it comes to being relentless, working through obstacles, when you feel like there's nowhere to go anymore, I promise you there is still somewhere to go. And that's where we need that relentlessness to kick in. It needs to kink to, let's not take it that route, but it needs to kick in at that moment where you're like, I am not giving up. There has to be a way. And that's when you are going to have so much benefit, or it's going to be so beneficial to be able to connect with your intuitive brain or ask a trained intuitive to look for the avenue that you are missing, because there is an avenue to get you there. Most 9 out of 10 times, you are capable of achieving so many things. And that's the cool thing, right? When you start learning to look at the Akashic records and pull information from there, the Akashic records will literally show you a pathway to get the most insane thing. A lot of the time, you will be able to have an option to get something that you wouldn't have expected. Not that it's meant for you, but I'm here to tell you that even the most absurd thing that you think that you couldn't achieve, you are most likely able to achieve. And that's where we need the intuitive brain, because the intuitive brain is going to guide you down a path that you would have never expected. You would have never thought of taking that path. Thinking of me and my passion hobby right now, I play kendo. For those of you who don't know, it is a form of samurai sword fighting that is my passion hobby. I would have never ever in a million years landed on that passion hobby had I not used my intuition. I would have never met the people that I've met through that passion hobby had I not intuitively checked in, and it wouldn't have given me the benefits that it does now had I not checked that intuitively. I would have never done so many things that I'm doing today had I not looked in intuitively to see if it was going to move the needle forward in what I am wanting to create in my life, in the life that I am wanting to access and open up. And this is where your relentlessness, I can't even say it anymore, relentlessness needs to kick in, because, or at least it's going to be beneficial to you. It's those of you who decide that you are not going to give up until you strike gold. You are not going to give up until you open up the life that you know is meant for you. It is those of you with that mindset, with that warrior goddess mindset, that knows that that is out there for you, that are going to get those results. It's those of you who are willing to move through the blocks, the fight or flight, when you want to scream and hold up your hands and be like, I don't want to do this anymore, and still decide to take a step forward, even in a direction that you don't know where it's going to take you, but intuitively you know it's going to move you forward. It's those of you that are actually going to be able to access the success that you desire. And this is where the relentlessness needs to kick in. It has to be this inner relentless belief in yourself that you know and you trust that the steps that you are taking are moving you forward. So that heart pull that you're feeling towards doing something, follow it. That inner fire that lights up when you hear about something and you know that you want to expand on that, follow it, because it is guiding you in the right direction. It is guiding you to the place that is going to open up the life that is meant for you. And this is where it can be difficult, because you are going to experience so many blocks, so many obstacles along the way. Believe me, I know people aren't always going to believe in the thing that you are doing. And the more they are questioning if the steps that you are taking are crazy, the more it means that you're headed in the right direction, because you're doing the one thing that everybody else is too afraid to do. And when you're doing that, that means you're headed in the right direction. Intuition on that journey is going to make your life a lot easier, because then you can at least intuitively check in if the step that you're taking, with less trial and error, with more direct, okay, this is, if I do A, B, and C, it's going to get me D. You know, you're going to have more of an equation there than just, okay, let's try A, let's try B, let's try C and see where I end up, right? It's just going to be a more straightforward way of being able to access the things that are meant for you. And again, if I had intuition through so many things in my life, obviously it's designed like that. I mean, we all have intuition, but if I had trained my intuition, some things would have been easier, because I would have known whether I was crazy or if I was taking the right steps. And it gives you a little bit more of that boost, that trust in taking the steps that you are taking. The same thing with world-changing events and things like that. It can be so hard when you get backlash, when you know internally that something is happening and other people aren't seeing it. Understanding and rooting to the fact that what you're seeing is correct, and knowing that your inner gut feeling is correct, and actually being able to intuitively look in and see that it is correct, is going to give you so much more security and power in rooting to the decisions that you are making. And it's going to help you make decisions in an easier way. And I felt like I needed to share that today because even with intuition, it is going to be hard because our ego, like I said, likes to keep us safe, likes to keep us comfortable. So it is going to do everything in its power to stay in avenues that it knows rather than go down avenues that are unknown and unsure. Even when you have trained your intuition, it can sometimes cause you to only look at those avenues and test avenues that are within those lanes rather than looking at the broader scale of what other things that you can do. So for anybody, whether you've trained your intuition, whether you haven't, try after today, if you want to see, try looking at steps and actions that you would have never thought of and go with a step or action, even if it's swapping out your schedule a little bit, like going to the gym at a different time of day, or instead of in your break going to have lunch at one cafe, going to another. Try and play around, or even going to a library instead of a cafe. Try and play around with this, either intuitively or just, well, if you can all tap in intuitively. So with whatever feels like the right intuitive move for you, try and play around with this. See what opens up. You're going to find yourself in new situations, new circumstances, trying different things that are going to help you towards the goal that you are wanting to achieve so much more than relentlessly sitting behind the laptop and trying to figure things out from that position or in the daily routine. We need to expand and to be able to achieve the life that you know is meant for you. It takes a level of relentlessness and perseverance and follow through that even when it's tough, even when your whole human self is screaming and wanting to run away from whatever action you know you need to take, that is when we need to follow through. And that is what is going to set you apart from everybody else. Now, if you want some guidance on that and you haven't already, I do offer a complimentary intuitive analysis, and we go into what the biggest block is that you're experiencing and what the actual root of the block is. Because again, this is where the ego likes to deflect from what we think needs to happen, when in reality, it is something different completely. It is something that we would have never thought of had we not checked in intuitively and looked in subconsciously what is actually holding us back. So if you want some guidance on that, I have linked the application form for the complimentary intuitive analysis inside the show notes of this podcast. And also, we have started to do weekly webinars instead of bi-weekly webinars inside the free Goddess Academy membership. And we are going to be doing series on topics. So it's going to be alternating on Tuesdays and Fridays, these webinars. This Tuesday, we just had intuition, unlocking your intuition, upgrading your intuition webinar. You can access the replay until next week. Till next week, Tuesday, they will be live inside the free membership for 7 days until they are moved to the pro membership, where you can access all the webinars, all the webinar series that we'll be doing, so that you can start expanding your gifts, your knowledge, your understanding of the laws of the universe, and start hacking this game called life. This is where you can start asking your questions. If you want any intuitive input on any of the things that I am talking about, or you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, but Manouk, how does that work? Come to the webinars. We can dive into everything there. You can ask me questions live or hand in questions inside the question form. And also, if you want, apply for the complimentary intuitive analysis, where I am going to help identify for you what is actually holding things back in what you need to do to move forward, and guidance on the next steps to access the life that is meant for you. Anyway, beautiful, I hope that this was a helpful podcast for you. And I look forward to seeing you in the webinars, hopefully, and in the next episode. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this. Thank you so much for listening to You Can Call Me Goddess. I am so happy that you joined us in this show today. If you feel like this podcast gave you any sort of life change or value, then share it with someone you think would also get a lot of value out of it, because maybe it could just be that one thing that changes that person's life. If you enjoyed the show, please give it a nice rating below or in the show, because we would love to expand more on topics that you enjoy and keep this podcast up and running. Anyways, thank you, beautiful, and I hope to see you in the next podcast.